Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa. La siyama al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathira. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to a new episode of Ask Huda. Our phone numbers beginning with the area code are 002-023855-248 or 249, and the email addresses are ask@huda.tv and alternatively gardens@huda.tv. This is a live edition, and I would begin by answering a couple of pending questions, and you can start ringing in as soon as you like, inshallah. Brother Khalid from the case A asked about the jinn and the humans, whether they will be judged, who will be judged first, and whether the jinn will enter paradise with the humans. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Dhariyat in ayah number 57, وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. So this ayah specifies that the call and the da'wah and the message of the prophets, and particularly Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was general to cover both the jinn and the ins. And that's why Allah said, I have not created the jinn and the human beings, but only to worship me. And that means these two species are the only creatures who have been given the free choice. And with the free choice, it requires sending messengers and prophets and so on. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated that in more than one position in the Quran. For instance, in Surah Al-Ahqaf, Allah the Almighty tells us, as well as in Surah Al-Jinn, ayah of Surah Al-Ahqaf, وَإِذْ صَرَفْنَا إِلَيْكَ نَفَرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Remember when we sent a group of the jinn to listen to the Quran, فَلَمَّا حَضَرُوهُ قَالُوا أَنصِتُوا. When they listened to it, they said, listen carefully and listen attentively. فَلَمَّا قُضِيَ وَلَّوْا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِمْ مُنذِرِينَ. And when you're done with your recitation, they return to their people with the warning that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had been sent and his message is the truth, and you guys have to follow him, and so on. That too was mentioned in a various way, but of the same concept in Surah Al-Jinn. قُلْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ أَنَّهُ اسْتَمَعَ نَفَرٌ مِنَ الْجِنِّ فَقَالُوا إِنَّا سَمِعْنَا قُرْآنًا عَجَبًا يَهْدِي إِلَى الرُّشْدِ فَآمَنَّا بِهِ وَلَن نُشْرِكَ بِرَبِّنَا أَحَدًا, etc. The ayat. In Surah Al-An'am, Allah the Almighty says that He will address both Al-Jinn and the humans being saying, يا معشر الجن والإنس ألم يأتكم رسل منكم يقصون عليكم آياتي وينذرونكم لقاء يومكم هذا قالوا شهدنا على أنفسنا وغرتهم الحياة الدنيا وشهدوا على أنفسهم أنهم كانوا كافرين. This is ayah number 130 of Surah Al-An'am. So Allah would address both the jinn and the human beings. ألم يأتكم رسل منكم يقصون عليكم آياتي وينذرونكم لقاء يومكم هذا. Hasn't come to you messengers in order to recite my verses upon you and warn you against this meeting of mine, the day of judgment and يوم القيامة. قالوا شهدنا على أنفسنا. They will testify that this has happened indeed. So الإنس والجن مكلفون. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Sajdah, قد حق القول مني لأملأن جهنم من الجنة والناس أجمعين. So this ayah indicates that the jinn also, the disbelievers of them, will be doomed to hell, as well as the ins exactly. من الجنة والناس أجمعين. The fire of hell will be full of jinn and human beings. As far as their word, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all the ayat, when He addressed the believers who do good righteous deeds and who would receive forgiveness and paradise from their Lord and so on, that applies to the human beings and applies to the jinn. as well as the technicality. When will they enter it? Who will enter first? Will they get the same reward? Will they be with us? This is entirely unseen to us. We just need to believe in the general concept, which is al-jinnu wal-insu, jinn and human beings are mukallafun. They are appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have been receiving messages, and the message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is general to both of them. Those who believe of them will be saved, receive salvation, and be rewarded, will enter paradise. And those who disbelieve of them, as Allah said in Surah As-Sajdah, they will enter the fire of hell as well. Barakallah fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ashfaq from the KSA.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Sheikh?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Barakallah fiq.
I love you for the sake of Allah.
أحبك الذي أحببتني فيه. Thank you, brother Ashfaq. Jazakallahu khairan.
Jazakum, Sheikh. I have a question. This is regarding the ayat number 26, Al Imran. That is, قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ مَالِكَ الْمُلْكِ تُؤْتِي الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُنْزِلُ الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ. The complete ayat. The meaning is very beautiful. I was told by somebody that if you read this ayat 100 times every day, you will have an increase in your profession and your life. This is backed by any hadith? Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah fiqh. Jazakallah khairan, brother Ashfaq. It's very lovely and it's a very beautiful ayah. It also refers to the lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His domain. قُلِ اللَّهُمَّ مَالِكَ الْمُلْكِ تُؤْتِي الْمُلْكَ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتَنْزِعُ الْمُلْكَ مِمَّنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُعِزُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُذِلُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ بِيَدِكَ الْخَيْرُ إِنَّكَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. All the domain is in His hands. He's the one who gives dignity. He's the one who disgraces. He's the one who gives honor, the one who withdraws it. He is the one who gives domain. He's the one who takes the domain from people, because He is the king of all kings. As far as if this ayah is recited 100 times every day, you will receive whatever, I don't have a reference to this whatsoever. Rather, when somebody says this ayah is very cool, and amongst its virtues that if you recite it that many times every day, you will get that much reward or virtues, I would simply ask him, where can I find this? It's as simple as that. Like, we have another question from one brother who says that when the person is dead, is it true that it was Karmus from the USA? Is it true that the angels would go to his house, check out what is happening, and they will go to inform him in his grave? I need a reference. I need a reference because this is entirely unseen to us. The only way to know what happens in the grave and in the barzakh, the transient life between the life of this world and the hereafter, that's called Hayatul Barzakh, is via receiving wahy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the wahy have been seized by the death of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it will be wonderful if you can provide us with a hadith which says, yeah, that will happen. But if you don't, then I would recite the ayah like any other ayah. I contemplate its meaning, I ponder its beautiful meanings, but I do not recite it in a certain number of times in order to get whatever. If the brother has a reference, he can share it with us so that all of us can benefit out of it. Because if he doesn't, then maybe he made it up because he thinks it's nice, it's cool. And in this case, he's really in trouble, because he may be accusing the Prophet ﷺ of not knowing the greatness of an ayah which had been revealed unto him. Or if he wants to skip there, you say, yeah, he did it. So why didn't he tell us? Do you think that the Prophet ﷺ concealed any valuable information from his ummah? Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Umar from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Go ahead, Brother Umar. Naam.
Please, Sheikh, I have 4 questions today, inshallah.
Go ahead.
One is with regards to the verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَّا تَهْلُكَ. That's don't harm yourself with your own hands. I want you to please relate the implication as to professions of car racing, horse racing, knowing the accident involved. What's the implication? Then the second question is with regards to the of the Prophet. using perfume.
Okay.
Is there any specific perfume known that he used?
Okay, Omar, let me make sure that I understood you correctly. You quoted the ayah and you said its application upon, for instance, cases where car accidents due to car race. Am I right?
No, I mean for instance, an individual, like a Muslim, participating in car racing or horse racing where accidents are involved.
Okay, yes, this is what I understood. Okay, thank you, Brother Omar. Sister Nisreen from India is on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Nisreen.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh.
How are you?
I have a question.
No.
When a lady is going through her menstruation period, what are the ways in which she can do ibadah, as she is not allowed to touch the Quran and offer salah? Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Nisreen. Barakallah feek. The beautiful ayah which Brother Umar referred to, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. This is a divine command that it is not permissible to throw yourselves into harm's way or doing anything which will bring harm unto yourselves or others, obviously. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, in line with this ayah, لا ضرر ولا ضرار. Harm should neither be inflicted nor reciprocated. So one should not harm himself or herself, nor cause harm to others. Accordingly, any violent sports or anything where there is a very high risk, simply due to not being able to be in control or full control, must be avoided. So that can apply not only to car race where we know and we see people die and kill others or spend the rest of their lives paralyzed. Also, there is a very common practice in the Arabic world, particularly in the Gulf, where people speed up with their cars, then they step on the brakes all of a sudden in order to revolve around themselves. They kill themselves and they kill maybe tens of those who are watching. So what is the ruling on those who are watching? You know that you're going to a very dangerous place. Why? Why? You're not supposed to be in this place. You're not supposed to expose yourself to any harm or threat. لا ضرر ولا ضرار. And also those who are involved, they will be liable and responsible for the harm which they will cause to themselves and the harm which they may end up causing to others. Okay? Even though the effective cause, the reason of the revelation of the ayah was specific to a particular incident, but the meaning is much more general. In which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said with regards to the specific reason of the revelation, that spending in a charity would actually bless you and increase your provision, and you can, by withholding and acting miserly, hurt and harm yourself. So it is in this occasion used in order to encourage the believer to spend generously and not to withhold. وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. But the meaning is much more general than being just limited to this occasion. Barakallahu fikum. Sister Nisreen from India, during women's menses, what kind of worship could she do? Everything except offering the prayers, touching the Quran with bare hands, fasting or performing tawaf. So all the adhkar, all the dua, all the istighfar, listening to the Quran, or if you're a hafiz and revising the Quran, not to forget it, it is permissible. Learning the Quran if you are a student who have to attend and study on a regular basis, provided you would have, for instance, in order to hold the Quran, you should be wearing gloves. Don't touch the Quran with bare hands. Reciting the Quran memorizing the Quran or revising the Quran or teaching it, because of these reasons, if you are in the period, it will be permissible provided you wear the gloves or don't touch the Quran with bare hands. So if you're not touching the Quran at all and you're flipping the pages like that, or you're using a digital device, that is permissible. Al-istighfar is 24/7. Ad-du'a, the most beloved words, ahabbul kalam to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to say subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. Saying la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-azim is a treasure that comes from beneath the throne of the most beneficent. Sending the peace and the blessings upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Adhkar is a great alternative to the rest of the ibadat which you will not be able to offer while in the menses. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Abu Safwan from Kuwait. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Sheikh. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Okay. Sheikh, I have two questions.
Now,
the first question is, I believe, like silk is like silk clothes, the silk ties are also prohibited or haram for the men.
no.
Okay. So my question is, I have many new ties, unused, unopened. Can I put them on eBay for sale? First question. And or can I give it as a gift to my non-Muslim friends in office? Okay. The second question is, if a person while performing wudu passes air in between, if he or she is supposed to repeat it and do it from the start, or continue the wudu?
If they interrupt their wudu with speaking,
no. If during the wudu, if he passes or she passes air, I mean the gases. So they're supposed to repeat from the start, from washing hand, or they can continue with that and finish the wudu.
Sure.
These are the questions. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you. Barakallah feekum. I need to clarify something to Abu Safwan first. The silk which is forbidden for men, the natural silk, but the artificial one, artificial fabric, which the touch is similar to silk, but it is not silk, is permissible for men to wear. Now, if somebody possesses anything which is forbidden for people to use, if it is general, forbidden for all Muslims to use, like for instance, wine, pork, dogs, it is haram to possess, it's haram to sell, it's haram to buy, because النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, إن الله إذا حرم شيئا حرم ثمنه. If Allah forbids anything, then its price is forbidden as well, even selling it to non-Muslims. But now, can I give it to non-Muslim as a gift? Your colleagues, yes, you can give it to him, no problem. And also the item, we don't know whether the buyer will be male or a female, and I assume also females wear ties sometimes, but if it is like given those ties, if they are natural silk, to your non-Muslim colleagues without a compensation, that would be permissible. If somebody is performing wudu and in the middle passed wind, you have to start from the scratch, of course. What if you just finished the wudu and you broke your wudu via passing wind, for instance? Then the wudu is invalid. So you have to start from the scratch, of course. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Abdul Halim from Kenya.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, Sheikh, I'm Abdul Halim from Kenya.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Good to hear from you, Sister.
Yeah, thank you very much for the work you're doing. We are so blessed. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And may also God bless and forgive all of your sins, inshallah.
Ameen.
Sheikh, my question is, I live next to the grave.
Now,
we just share, there's no wall, we just share some twigs. And I'm living just next to the grave. That's where I built my house. What am I supposed to do? Because it's my own house and it's not a rented house where I can move out. Some people say it's not allowed to live next to the grave. But as far as I'm concerned, I will just see it as something normal. Please just inform me what is the Islamic Sharia
And
on living
by the way,
next to
is it a Muslim graveyard? Okay, thank you, Sister Abdul Halim. The sister is saying that she lives, or her house, which she owns, is next to the grave. And there is no way that she can move out. It's her house. Then stay in your house. I asked you whether it's a Muslim graveyard. So this way you will continuously, every time you're passing by or you're going through your house, give salam to the dwellers of the graveyard, provided they're Muslims. Assalamu alaikum ahla diyari min al-mu'minina wal-muslimin wa inna insha Allahu bikum lahiqun nas'alullaha lana wa lakum al-afiyah. This is a prescribed dua to be said in this occasion. I hope it is not a non-Muslim graveyard where you have to see the crosses and you have to be next to those who are being, according to what we have been told in the Quran and the Sunnah, literally tortured and punished in their graves. As I was a student, I used to take the bus to the Al-Azhar campus, and it would go through the heart of Cairo, and I would pass by a huge cemetery, graveyard, and the number of the living who were living in the graveyard would outnumber those who are being buried in it. I mean it. Very poor people sharing the graves with the dead, living literally in the graveyard with the dead. Then slowly they started overcoming their territories. Years passed, and if I pass by, I see now the satellite and the color screens and the TVs and, playing music and songs and watching movies. The special treatment of the graveyard have disappeared. The graveyard, I don't want to say a sacred place, but it's a place to remind us of death. Not anymore. So the person who is living next to the grave is more worthy than others to be always reminded of the condition of death, the shortness of life, and so on. One of the Muslim rulers dug a grave in his palace, and every once in a while he would go and lie in the grave to remind himself how short and brief is this life. And the reality is very horrible if you were to realize it. So behave yourself, remain steadfast on the straight path, be just, do not wrong people, and so on. This is the idea behind visiting the graveyard. إني كنت نهيتكم عن زيارة القبور فزوروها فإنها تذكركم الموت. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم said, I forbade you from visiting the graveyard earlier. Now visit, because it shall remind you of death. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Ashwaq from the USA.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Salam.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May Allah bless and give rahmah and barakah to the whole team. I have two questions, Sheikh Salam.
No.
The henna in the tube we use from Saudi Arabia, the henna. If we put that on our nails, is the wudu valid or not?
Okay.
And my second question is that what arkan of salah are couples three? They missed. We need to do sajda sahab because we are in a kind of confusion. What we should like the first that shouldn't be missed at all. Can you please, Jazakallahu khairan.
Okay. Thank you, Sister Ashwaq from the USA. With regards to your first question, the henna leaves, it's a dye. When it's grounded and mixed with water, it's a dye and it's a sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ encouraged whether men or women to change their gray hair by dyeing using the henna. The sister is asking, sometimes when you mix it with your hands, it dyes the nails. Would that invalidate the wudu? similar to the nail polish? No, because it doesn't have density. It is not something that prevents the water, it's just a color. But the nail polish isn't just a color. It leaves a layer that you can peel it off, like the paint that you can peel it off. So for the henna, it does not invalidate the wudu, and you can perfectly make wudu while you have the henna on, even dyeing your nails. Sujood al-tilawa, whenever the imam or the person is praying singular, recites an ayah which have sajda in the salah, he or she should make sujood al-tilawa, and that is for both the fard as well as the nafil prayer. It doesn't make any difference. What if the imam skipped the sujood al-tilawa and did not make it? There is no blame on him, and the followers are not required to do it on their own, because the imam was appointed to be followed. Barakallahu fikum. Brother Saeed from Mali. Assalamu alaikum. Saeed.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum, ya Sheikh.
Alaikum salam, brother Saeed. I hear you. Go ahead and present your question, please.
Okay, I have a question. My question is circumcision an obligation for a Muslim girl? Yeah, that's all.
What is obligatory, you said?
Circumcision to circumcise a Muslim girl, is it an obligation?
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
The circumcision to circumcise.
Circumstances, circumcision. Okay, you're asking about the khitan.
It's an obligation.
Okay. Now, for boys, al-khitan, circumcision is one of the traditions of the pure nature. And Ibrahim alayhi salam got circumcised when he was 80 years old. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam informed us that it is of the traditions of the pure nature. Now, so for the boys, it is a must. It is obligatory. We'll take a short break, and inshallah we'll be back in a couple minutes to answer some more of your valuable questions. Stay tuned.
Reading the Quran is a blessing. Understanding its translation is beautiful. But diving in depth and extracting pearls from it is simply amazing. Do they not ponder upon the Quran? Every week, inshallah, we will dig deep and reflect on the verses of the Quran one by one.
Quran in Depth with Sheikh Ibrahim Zaidan, only on Huda TV.
يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا حي يا قيوم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر
اللهم إني أسألك الفردوس الأعلى من الجنة اللهم إني أسألك الفردوس الأعلى من الجنة
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
I bear witness that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, alone without partner, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his slave and messenger.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Sister Aisha from the KSA, she's an expat living in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and she says, I'm working in Saudi Airlines. So many times I couldn't perform my salah on time because of flight. What is the solution for that? In fact, the solution, sister, is to take another job, because it is not permissible to travel the travel distance without having a male mahram. And in fact, having a job of simply traveling and serving all those people, of course wearing a full makeup, as you all see, even in Hajj and so on, is something which would not really please Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You may think it's a little harsh because you're asking about how to offer the prayer while traveling, because you are a flight attendant. But because I fear for you, and it is my job to convey the message of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to my beloved viewers and share with them the truth, not just simply to please them, but share the truth, which sometimes may sound harsh or bitter. But this is all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا يحل لامرأة تؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر أن تسافر بغير محرم منها. It is not permissible for a woman who believes in Allah and in the last day to travel without having a mahram of her. So you would not definitely take a mahram with you or your husband along with you on the flight and serving people. And being in this situation 24/7, as long as you're flying, of course, or you are in duty, showing yourself to everybody, is something which the Sharia does not agree with. Now, as far as the hukm for a person who is flying and offering the prayer, if there is a chance to offer two prayers together which share the same time, Dhuhr and Asr together, and Maghrib and Isha together, at the time of either one, either before boarding the plane or after getting off from the plane, as long as it is within the same time span. For Dhuhr, once the sun moves from its meridian, all the way until before sunset. So you have plenty of time. What if the flight is a long flight going to not just Europe, going to China, going to Japan, going to Russia, going to Canada or to the States? Then in this case you will be obliged to offer the prayer in the flight. Within the time, you combine two prayers and you get to shorten the prayer as well. The same applies to Maghrib and Isha. And the last time for the Isha prayer is midnight. It is not extended till Fajr, as we explained before. In the plane, if the person have a chance to stand up and face the Qibla, then they must stand up and face the Qibla. If they can't, because of the safety rules and regulations, then they can pray within their seats if they fear that the time of the prayer will be out before being able to offer the prayer after they land while standing and being able to prostrate themselves on the floor and so on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ, which means keep your duty to Allah as much as you can. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Husna from the KSA. Sister Husna, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Sheikh.
Thank you for waiting for so long.
Sheikh, I have 3 questions, please.
Now.
The first one is, some people say, before you pray, you have to make niyyah in your heart. And some people say that you don't have to make niyyah as long as you know what you're going to pray, you just stand and pray. So I would like to know the correct way. And then my second question is, when you hear the adhan, is it okay you can pray immediately or you have to wait until it finishes? Because, some of us who are working here in the KSA, when we hear the adhan, we just want to pray quickly because of the work. And then the third question is, some people say that when you make dua for a woman, you have to cover your hair. Now, what about if you're making dua for changing your clothes or removing your clothes? What happens? Because that time you don't have to wear the hijab.
No.
So if you can let me know about that. And also, my last question is, for the woman, when you hear the adhan, do you have to cover your hair or it's okay, you can just answer the adhan and pray for the Prophet ﷺ without covering your hair?
Okay. Barakallahu fiki, Sister Husna. Sister Mona from Egypt is next on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dr. Allah said in the Holy Quran, أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا يَحْزَنُونَ. And Allah said in His holy speech, مَنْ عَادَ لِي وَلِيًّا فَقَدْ أَذَنْتَهُ بِالْحَرْبِ. My question is, are أولياء Allah Salihin found among us today? How can I know that this man or this woman is from أولياء Allah Salihin? And what should we do to be wali from أولياء Allah Salihin? Please, doctor, I want you benefit me so much. I follow all your program. But doctor, I want you to benefit my friends who can't speak Arabic. And there are many Muslims who can't speak Arabic.
Sister
so,
Mona,
doctor, I suggest
Sister Mona, you recited the ayah. Can you recite the rest? ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. What is next?
ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون.
What is next?
What is the next of the ayah?
Yes. Okay, if you don't know it, inshallah, I will tell you right now while answering the question. Because, the next segment, it simply answers your question, which is الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. Inshallah, we'll tackle this when I come to answer. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a small comment, Doctor. Can I say it?
No, please.
Doctor, you benefit me so much, and I want you to, I follow all your program. I want you, as you benefit me, I want you to benefit my friends who can't speak English. And there are many Muslims can't speak English. So, Doctor, I suggest in addition to working in Huda TV, I want you, Doctor, to work in an Arabic Islamic channel to benefit those who aren't speak English, Doctor.
I don't know if there is any Arabic channel still open. Weren't they all shut down?
رسالة اقرأ ورسالة.
بارك الله فيكي. Thank you, Sister Muna. Thank you. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Brother Abdul Rauf from the KSA.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to the program, Brother Abdul Rauf.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad Salah.
You're most welcome. بارك الله فيك.
I once learned from your program that during the prayer time, whatever bad thoughts come during the prayer, that part of the salah is not valid. And so how do we stop these bad thoughts during the prayer time, which can all the time disturb us during the prayers? What is the best way to get out of these bad thoughts and to concentrate fully on the prayer?
نعم. Okay. بارك الله فيك, Brother Abdul Rauf. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Rafia from Nigeria, welcome to the program. Can you mute your TV, please, Sister Rafia?
I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
One is
mute your TV,
one
please.
is circumcision for females in Islam.
Sister Rafia, please mute your TV set. Okay, may I ask the brothers to collect her questions, please? Jazakumullah khairan. Sister Husna from the KSA, is the niyyah before the prayer required? It's a must. And niyyah is a pillar before every act of worship. Yani, if I'm due to perform ghusl, and I didn't prepare an intention, I just took a shower, like everybody else. Have I performed ghusl? No. I washed everything, but I didn't really perform niyyah. What is the niyyah? The niyyah is to intend to lift the major impurity. Making wudu, why? In order to be able to pray. Going to the masjid, why? To pray this particular prayer. Getting up at night to pray, this is nafl or fard prayer. Formulating an intention is a must, but how? Do I have to pronounce it? No. And niyyah is only in the heart. The word niyyah, we have some Arabic viewers. And niyyah is taken from the nucleus, from nuwah. The seed of the date, we call it nuwah, because it is hidden. We can tell what kind of seed, big, long, small, short, because it is hidden within the flesh of the date, right? So a niyyah must be hidden, and its sincerity is something between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it must not be uttered. When I pray in the haram next to somebody who keeps saying, we already made takbir, and the Imam started the recitation and says, Oh Allah, I here in front of the Kaaba intend to pray Dhuhr 4 rak'ahs behind the Imam of the haram. What is this exactly? None of that is valid. Whom are you telling that? Allah? He already knows that you came to pray Dhuhr. But you prepare this intention in your heart. So you must have an intention, and it must be sincere before every act of worship, whether it's tahara, charity. Wait a minute. Let me give you a better example, a better as far as the clearance. $20, I gave the $20 to somebody. What is this $20 for? Was it a debt that I owed him? Or is it a mandatory zakah? Or is it sadaqatul fitr? Or is it voluntary charity? Who determines? My heart. النية محلها القلب. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Sister Sabah from Canada.
Brother, this is Sister Sabah from Canada.
Welcome to the program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Shuk, walaikum assalam. Brother, we missed you in Canada. I was in Toronto, but we really missed you in Toronto. But I have 3 questions.
Okay, please.
My first question is, you know how the winter is. We recently brought a blanket, but when we opened up, it had a photo of, on the blanket, the picture was of an eagle. If you spread it out, you can see the face. I was just wondering that, can you use that blanket? First question. My second question is that in your witr prayers, I know the answer, but I was listening to a lecture, and what happened actually at a place that some were arguing, and I didn't know how to give my answer. So I need a clarification that some say that the witr, the Hanafi read is 3, and after the 2 rakats, they sit for tashahud. Is that sitting for tashahud right or wrong? And the person was an alim, and he said, if you're saying this, you have to give a dalil, and I didn't have the dalil to give. So if you can give me the dalil where I can find and give it to that alim, I would really appreciate that.
Sure. Barakallah fiqh. Thank you, Sister Sabah. Yes, indeed, it was pretty cold in Canada. Really, really cold. Alhamdulillah. But I enjoyed it so much. The warmth of the brothers and their welcome, the communities, mashallah, were very, very warm welcoming. Alhamdulillah, enjoyed my stay there. Allahumma barik. But I don't think I'll be going in winter again. دخول الوقت and the adhan, Sister Husna, from the KSA. If she's doing something and the adhan has been called, can she pray right away, or does she have to wait for the adhan to finish? What really matters is the time. So once it is time, you can start the prayer. But you know that there are a couple of things you got to keep in mind. If you're next, like you're calling from the KSA, you could hear the adhan everywhere. Why would you waste such a word of repeating after the muazzin and then sending the peace and the blessings upon the Prophet ﷺ in order to be eligible for his intercession? Whoever repeats after the muazzin, he says, اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. What will happen to him? That he will be eligible for the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ. You should not waste this reward. It's just a couple minutes. Number one. Number two, I believe, there is a voluntary sunnah before Fajr, before Dhuhr, even before Asr and Maghrib, it is non-emphatic, okay? And before Isha likewise. So if you get to pray the sunnah, that would be preferable, of course. Otherwise, if you're asking, can I pray once the time is due, even once the time enters, even after the adhan is finished in this masjid or that masjid, it is permissible. What really matters is dukhulul waqt. Ad-du'a, making du'a. The sister already assumed that making du'a requires the woman to wear hijab, and that's why she said there is a problem. What if I'm making du'a of wearing or unwearing the clothes, and then I take off my clothes and I'm not wearing the hijab? Hijab is not required upon reciting Quran or making du'a. It is not required. Al-hijab is required if you're before non-mahram. People who are neither a husband or a non-mahram, then you must wear and cover up fully. And I figured out why some sisters, if I'm giving a speech here or there, normally they are not wearing hijab. But once I get on the stage and I say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I see them cover up their heads, like, because I began the speech. And gradually, once I come close to the end, conclude my speech, their hijab glides down. It's like it's over. The hijab was only for the dua or for the speech. That's not right. Okay? Accordingly, your question about wearing hijab while the adhan is being called, likewise. These are some traditions belonging to cultural tradition. But in fact, it's not required to wear hijab while the adhan is being called, or while the Quran is being recited, or while making dua, or while at home. Only while praying or before non-mahram. Sister Mona, the ayah is a beautiful ayah. I hope the brothers can assist us by displaying it. ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. Who are they? We were born, raised, and we grew up in a society where, beginning from the 4th century, the 4th Hijri century, where the Fatimites and the Ubaidis, those guys are non-believers by the way, they occupied North Africa and they started a bunch of innovations, amongst which building tombs here and there and burying people inside the masajid and building masajid on top of the graves and labeling those guys as those are awliya. So, you should be scared of, you should not be talking about them bad. Rather, you should seek their help. You should, if you're in trouble, you have to go to them, resort to them and seek their assistance. All of that is false. I have seen and heard by my own eyes and my own ears people, men and women, who are going to those graves and literally praying to them, asking from them, one who's asking for his wife to conceive, one who's asking for her daughter to get married, and all of that. This is called literally setting partners to Allah in worship. In Arabic, it's called shirk. Awliyaullah, how to recognize them? They are everywhere. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in one hadith, لا تزال طائفة من أمتي قائمين على الحق لا يضرهم من خالفهم حتى يأتي أمر الله حتى تقوم الساعة أو حتى يأتي أمر الله. Those people are the true allies, the true beloved ones to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is their criterion? The following ayah. That's why a sister said, if anyone wants to know who are the awliya, they do not have a label on their forehead that says awliya, one of awliya Allah salihin. He's not necessarily one of those whom when they bury people really build a tomb on top of them or whatever. And by the way, I don't have the power to criticize or to blame or accuse any of those who are buried, they are awliya or not. I don't know. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught us to say, إِنَّهُمْ قَدْ أَفْضَوْا إِلَى مَا قَدَّمُوا. They are dead. Only Allah knows about their past. But when you have books written by some of their disciples saying that this person used not to pray. Why? Because he wouldn't pray amongst us. For 40 years, 40 years, he was never seen praying. And he's considered like one of the 4 poles who are running the world. And people come to perform Hajj to his grave like they go to Mecca. And they revere him and beg from him and seek his help. And I made a visit to this place to see what people do. Okay, well, no, those are not the awliya whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant. Those awliya, al-atqiya, al-akhfiya, the hidden. You do not necessarily have to recognize them, or they do not have to show themselves. They're hidden, they're concealed. It could be your maid, it could be your driver, it could be your gatekeeper, it could be any ordinary person or subordinary person whom whenever he would say, Ya Allah, right away Allah would fulfill. Why? You know, the director keeps telling me that over, we ran out of time. So, inshallah, after apologizing to brothers and sisters who are still on the phone line, I will begin, inshallah, Tuesday by tackling this question again. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech.